warriors. Living and surviving are two different things. Today's featured guest is Dr. Anita, GYN doctor and Chief Integrative Officer for WHP Wellness. Please get ready to learn all about the keys to living a healthy lifestyle.
Dear Life Warriors, it's me, Shar, your favorite corporate life coach. And today I have a very, very special guest, Dr. Anita. Yes, I do. She is my doctor. She is someone that has transformed my health. If anyone that knows me knows I talk about health all the time. She is currently a GYN doctor and she runs the most fabulous wellness center in New Jersey. We might be talking about vaginas today, but not my vagina, everybody else's. So with that being said, welcome to the show, my friend. It's Dr. Anita.
Thank you, Shar. It is an absolute pleasure to be here.
Oh my goodness. It's only been, so guys, let me just give you a little bit of background that my Your Healthy Reality, the name of my business, Your Healthy Reality, actually started out. It was supposed to be a show. This was 4 years ago, I think, Dr. Anita, that we tried.
That's right. Probably longer, a bit longer, maybe. Yeah, maybe like 6 years ago.
Where I had this idea that I wanted to bring her wealth of knowledge to the world because she is all about women's health. She runs a functional medical practice. We're going to learn all about that. What does that mean as well? So I created Your Healthy Reality to do just that. And then, of course, plans, life happens, everyone's journey goes this way and that way. And before you know it, I'm like, I'm going to just make Your Healthy Reality a business, which is what I'm doing now, the coaching business. And now fast forward, we're back to this. I'm having a show.
Well, I mean, if I could, add to that, Shar, that you and I always say that things happen as they should. And this is actually a perfect example of that all the plans we had and all the thoughts you had about getting this done, and it never got done. And 6 years later, here we are, because the timing is right.
Timing is right. So much more knowledge. Our relationship has evolved over time.
Correct.
That I had the pleasure of being, your business consultant last year during the pandemic of all years. That's
right. That changed my life, let me just say. Literally changed my life.
Listen, I after her, let me tell you, I threw in the towel on trying to be anybody's business consultant.
Well, you know what? That makes me special because, if I'm going to take the title of being the last person I consulted with, then that's good enough for me. Yes. But it was a life-altering experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much to talk about. Honestly, I want to talk about what you do first and foremost, so the world could understand. She has a unique situation. It's you practice GYN, you're a GYN doctor. However, you found a way to incorporate functional medicine within your practice. And that's literally unheard of for a GYN. You normally see functional medicine with primary care or family care, but not so much GYN. So for the audience that do not know, what is integrative functional medicine? What's the best way to explain that?
Well, I mean, as you said, you don't generally see this with gynecology. It's more familiar with family medicine and integrative medicine. But I think the need for functional medicine in terms of women's health is very, very important. And so functional medicine would really be defined as, traditionally, what are the root causes of conditions? And if we can get to the root causes of things, then we can solve it from the root, from the bottom up, and not really focused on treating symptoms, which is kind of the way traditional medicine is practiced. But it is so fitted in the world of women's health because of the complexity of women's hormones. And so really understanding when women have, all these different symptoms associated with their hormones to really kind of understand what's going on with the hormones rather than just trying to fix the problem, by giving them an oral contraception or putting them on contraception hormones to fix the problem. So that's really sort of, the interest for me of understanding women's hormones, which would include just not their reproductive hormones, but their thyroid hormones, their neurological hormones. So all these hormones affect women, and really to try to have a good understanding of what are these hormones doing is kind of what I brought, or what I saw functional medicine for my practice to be, or that was the beginnings, let's say. That's kind of how it all started in terms of the interest in a gynecological practice.
Right. And I think when I met you, probably a good 8 years ago, I went to you weren't even my GYN doctor. I had another GYN doctor that I was going to, but what was interesting for me when I first started I said, okay, I'm going to start seeing you. The questions that you asked, I've never heard a GYN doctor ask before, which was, how are you feeling? How is your health? Any other issues outside of XYZ, right? And it prompted me to just say, yeah, well, I get these headaches, but that's normal. I get it every month. So I'm thinking my headaches should come with your menstrual every month. And you were like, no, it shouldn't. That's not normal. And I kid you not, people, this is why I'm really excited to be talking to her today, because I literally had headaches from as far as I can remember, from I was 14 years old, from I started getting my period. I would get a headache with that every single month until Dr. Anita started to treat me. And I don't know what she did, but I no longer have headaches, and I have not had a headache in a good 5 years. I actually don't know what a headache is anymore. And I didn't know that was possible. The other thing was, so then it evolved from there. It started with treating my headaches to then now, how is your gut? What are you eating? All those things where now I'm like, what is a detox? What do you mean I need a detox? What do you mean toxins? What's all of that stuff? So now it became like this intriguing game. Like, I'm like, oh, I could fix some other stuff with me. And then fatigue, not understanding I shouldn't be tired by 2:00, right? So all these things that we go through as women, I know I was going through it. I thought it was just natural, hormonal, like you said, things that we should be going through. I didn't know that I could actually be living this life of no headaches, okay? No headaches at all. I am up at my certain time. I'm not tired through the days anymore. I am happy, bubbly. It actually also helped me with my mindset, just fixing and correcting my health. So how does one get to someone like you, to that place where they say, because believe it or not, it's hard to find doctors like you that actually care about the health. Usually your GYN, you're in and out. You're just there for your annual routine, you're done. And you're like, wait, this is not just an annual checkup. I want to learn more. And for most women like myself, it's like, why does this woman want to know more? I don't want to say, you don't want to say too much. But it was life-changing. It was a life-changing experience for me, because I now know that I can live this life, a healthy lifestyle, that I don't have to experience those things that regular human beings are experiencing right now. I have friends that I'll call, they'll be like, oh, I have a cold. And I'm like, you do? Something's wrong. Your immune system is broken, because I haven't had a cold in like 5 years as well. I thought that was something that comes every year, but with you, you don't have to. You really don't need to have these things. You can build up your immune system, and you do it in such a unique way that I think more people need to know about you. And I also think that people need to start taking control of their health. What would be your first recommendation in terms of how to take control of our health? Where do you start?
I think it's really first, it really begins with understanding what is it to take control of your health? Like, what does that mean? Right? Because we're talking about something that is for a lot of people who are listening to this right now, and a lot of your audience will be, well, what does that mean? Taking control of my health, how do I begin to do that, as you said? And to begin to do that is really to understand what it is, what is healthy. And so, simply I'll say to patients that a lot of people come in, and let's say with a GYN exam, you're coming to get pap smear done or go through your routine annual exam, or you have a problem and you're coming in for that problem. But to understand, why are you even having that problem, right? And so it really, taking care of your health really begins with an understanding that your physical body is one specimen, meaning it is not separated from the whole. So for women, gynecology, it's not just about what's going on below their belly button, right? It's how their brain affects what goes on under their belly button, or it's head to toe. And so your mind, and what role does your mind play on your body? And then to go beyond that, like, where are you spiritually? Where are you? What's going on in your life? What's your stress level? What's your environment? Are you a positive person? Are you a negative person? Like, where do you default as a person? And so, I've been practicing in this field for the past 12 years, is that I too am learning and evolving in this space. And so today my evolution would be that to look after your health, I would go beyond that. To understand your health means to understand, mind, body, spirit, right? To really understand that your environment affects your body, right? Your mind is affected by your environment. I will joke around, or, coin the phrase, your mind is constantly eavesdropping on your experiences, all of your experiences. If you're driving down the road, you're on the parkway, you're connecting to a car, you're connecting to, your environment.
Yeah.
Your mind is constantly eavesdropping on your environment, and your body is constantly eavesdropping on your mind. And your body expresses that, right? So when we talk about all these symptoms, and we just don't have enough time to go through some of the things you mentioned, or go beyond that. And for women, typically, it's sleep, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's chronic vaginal infections, it's irregular cycles, and so to really look to understand why are these things happening is when you go beyond to connect the dots of that mind, body, spirit. Like, who are you? Right? To ask the question, who am I? Right? What am I about? And why is this happening? And so that's sort of a long description I gave you of, how do you begin to understand, how do I take responsibility for my health? Right? And taking responsibility for your health is really you taking responsibility for your health, not your doctor. Right? You understand yourself better than your doctor, and your doctor's going to go on whatever information you give them.
Yes.
So the better understanding you have about your health and what you're about, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you can communicate how you're feeling more effectively to your doctor or your clinician. And the more information you give them, the more, they're going to be able to, narrow down or target exactly what's going on. Yeah. Now, that is very different from, I'm speaking about a functional approach, right? To say, give them information, because I know a lot of patients will sit here and say to me, and which doctor are you talking about? And I'm not the one that I spent 5 minutes with. Exactly. Right. The one that I went to see that literally was just ready to shove me out the door. But still, even that being said, I think, that there may not be a whole lot of functional doctors around, but the more you understand about yourself and the more you take responsibility for your health, then you can be proactive in giving your clinician the right information to follow. Right. And so I think, the shift would be, that the patients are really driving their outcomes.
Yes.
Right. And not saying, well, I'm going to the doctor because it's the doctor's responsibility to find out what's wrong with me.
Right. Right.
Right. That needs to be a shift in the way we think regarding our health.
Yes.
Right. It's your responsibility.
Yes.
You take the you take the initiative.
Yeah.
To understand who you are. And then you will drive the outcome. It doesn't matter, what doctor you're seeing or what clinician you're seeing, because at the end of the day, your doctor's there to do the best by you.
Yeah.
Right. And so the more guidance you give them,
I get it.
The better the outcome will be.
And I mean, people, let me say this, my life warrior, she's saying this very nice now. Like, you have to drive the initiative. Let me tell you about this woman. When she cares and you are in her office, and especially if you want to complain about the same thing over and over again, and you're not doing anything about it, at some point, she's going to shut the door and be like, you better get your together now.
Okay, but all right. I mean, I do that. I mean, sometimes I just have to. And so
some of us need that. Don't even
exactly.
I know I did. Some of us, especially strong women that think they're so strong and no one could tell them what to do anymore because that was me. So I needed you to say enough is enough.
Well, I do that. I do that. I mean, it's just human nature that I think sometimes we need a little push, and also to even realize that, the kind of stuff I'm trying to part and the information I'm trying to part, it's new and it's different. And so, a lot of patients will look at me and say, well, why do you do it this way? And why doesn't anybody else do it that way?
Yeah.
And so, I understand that there is a whole a paradigm shift in the way this information is being shared right now, right? So on a functional forum, most patients will actually find this information. Who is seeking it? It's out there, right? Yeah. If you go and Google functional medicine or really try to understand what it is, you'll be inundated with information that's out there, because people will ask, well, what type of medicine this is? Well, this is evidence-based medicine. It is, I'm looking at your body. This is not, as I like to say, hee-haw medicine. This is actually what is going on with you. This is your body giving us the information we need, and that's the information we follow. And so this is done by blood work. It's done by, as you said, a good comprehensive intake of your history. Blood work supports what goes on with your body. And then, the outcome is an evolution. And I think the other thing that's uniquely different about this type of medicine, it's unique to you and you only.
Yes.
Right? So it's not, Jane, Mary, and, Margaret is going to get the same pill.
Right.
For the same condition. Is that it is very unique. It's personalized, right? It's what is going on with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's uniquely a distinct difference between, the way we approach it conventionally versus the way we approach it functionally. Right.
And you do that, I didn't even mention, and you do all this through a holistic way. Like, you treat with your vitamin line, Ojus Life, and which is also remarkable because it's a plant-based vitamin line, which I was like, okay, how is this going to help me? It literally did. You literally just looked at where my body was deficient and just fixed that deficiency, and all was well. Correct.
And so, vitamins, I think a lot of people reach out to vitamins because we know it to be, this is going on with me, so I should take some vitamins. And so people go out and buy all sorts of things, and, they'll hear about an ingredient, they run out and, get that ingredient. And that's just not the way vitamins, that's not the way I use vitamins. Vitamins are used in a very synergistic way to deliver what you need and how much of it you need. And then we stop, right? Because there are essential vitamins and minerals that the body needs that you get from outside of, what the body can make, such as you get that from food and you get that from what you take in. But, we also know that our food is so adulterated. We're just not getting what we need.
Yeah.
Again, we live these very busy lives where, we think we're eating right and we think we're getting what we're supposed to get from the food we eat, but that's not always necessarily the case, right? But really just understanding, what is going on in our lives, like stress. In medicine, we talk about stress and we talk about stress over and over and over. And we relate that stress to every medical condition or disease or diagnosis that exists. But there's no way really to measure how much of that is going on, right? But we can measure cortisol. We can measure to see how is that the body's physiological stress pathway holding up,
right,
with the amount of stress you have in your life.
Wow.
And so that's another unique thing about functional medicine, where traditional conventional medicine does not do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't really sort of take the time to say, well, yeah, like how much stress is there? Like you talk about the afternoon coffee, or the 2 to 6 o'clock slump, right? And the 2 to 6 o'clock slump is a direct relationship to the body's stress resilience.
Wow.
If the stress resilience is not there, you're going to have that 2 to 6 o'clock slump. And most people will reach for coffee, right? And a lot of patients will be like, oh, doesn't everybody reach for coffee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? And I'm like, there's no need to be reaching for coffee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon to help you to get through your day, right? That isn't necessary. If you are in balance and your body's in a complete, what we like to say, homeostasis, then you don't need 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon coffee.
I get
right?
it. Yeah.
And and I'm very passionate about this because everything in our lives really begins with how we feel, right? Is that when we feel good physically, we can get up and get through our day, right? When we're having to drag through our day, then everything is difficult, right?
Yeah.
The mind is tired, the body's tired. And so my passion, for this, it really comes from what I've seen for 12 years, right? It's my fuel every day to say, you don't have to be that way. Like you can begin to live your best life. But the beautiful thing about it is that, people come in because it's about the physical. It's, I'm tired or there's a physical complaint, I'm not sleeping, whatever. As you begin to really understand yourself and really understand who you are, then you are just taking on a whole new way of being. Then you start to look at the mind. You start to look at your spirituality. You start to look at faith. You start to look at letting go of acceptance. So you really, you begin to go beyond just what's going on physically.
Yeah.
Right. And you cannot begin to do that if you are not feeling physically well. Right. Patients would go, they're tired or they're not feeling well, and they go to the gym and say, oh, if I exercise, I'll feel better. And I say to them, no, don't do that, because you're already exhausted. You have no reserve. You go to the gym and you spend more of that reserve. What do you think is going to happen? The body is already giving you a signal saying, I'm tired. Going to the gym may temporarily make you feel a little better because you've got a good oxygen flow going to all those cells. You produce a little bit more serotonin, the endorphins go up, you feel better. How long does it last? A couple of hours, and then you're crashing again. Right? So they'll look at me and say, what do you mean I can't exercise? I'm like, no, you're not going to exercise until you feel physically better. Right. Then you're going to see the benefits of your exercise, because you actually now have the energy
to do the
that you can expend.
Right.
Speaking
of, just to shift gears a little bit, speaking of busy life, speaking of that transformation, speaking of, giving the body what it needs. You and I both together went through this transformational experience last year within your office where
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Don't even. Let me just say, you and I will not be able to describe to anybody what we did last year, but okay, go ahead.
Attempt to touch the surface.
Yeah.
How we was reaching for the vitamin bottles, like we need, I need more.
And what hours were we keeping? We were leaving this office at 12 midnight.
People, I mean,
yeah.
Dr. Anita is someone that is a workaholic. Last year, I don't know, she's going to talk about where she is mind space right now, in this moment. But last year, she was a workaholic, as far as I know. And she expected everyone around her to be with her on that journey. But
what's changed? And that changed, actually, that's changed partially because of, like, you opened my eyes. And you opened my eyes in that journey. You know, when you begin this journey and you get on this journey, and this journey, you know, connecting to what we just talked about, is this journey begins with your health. You know, it begins with your physical. But as you go on this journey, you know, the clarity comes, like, you know, it just, you don't even have to seek it. It just comes. It just goes out. Right?
And we started to create this beautiful story, you know, which what I love was her and I have started many beautiful stories.
We have.
So we started to create this beautiful story about WHP wellness, what it looks like in the future, where it's going to be, and what it takes to get there. And then as we start to walk the walk along that journey, it was like whoosh. It's like a mini storm that took over our lives. And now that we're out of it, it was such a beautiful storm, actually. It really was.
It really
needed to happen. And the way that it happened, I think we'll have that forever on how it helped transform you from a doctor to a businesswoman.
Yes.
Because it's two different things.
Two different things. And that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
It was so difficult. You and I just kept pushing, and you just kept pushing back. And we were just like, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And you're like, well, you run a business. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, and that's really, that was just, oh my God. That was, for me, I can't even, like, that was life altering. Because I've been practicing medicine for 30 years. And to have come to that, at this point in my life, at this stage, to really understand that was all you. And I know, like, you know, you said, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, you're the last person that I'm going to do this with. But I had said to you, you're just a natural at that. You are so good at that. And if anybody, like people in the past have tried to tell me this. In fact, I've spent money for people to try to tell me this, and I really didn't last very long. And you were able to really understand my mindset.
Yeah.
And really understand what in my mindset needed to change. And you targeted that very, very well. You know, you were able to bring it to me in a way that I could understand it. And, you know, begin to evolve. And I did. And my gosh, like it just changed my life, you know, in terms of, but you know what the good thing about that is, and you said, you know, where am I today in terms of my own workaholic mindset? I've learned.
I didn't mean it that way.
but I've learned that, you know, as much as I can sit and preach to people about self-care, you know, self-love and self-care, that was kind of probably the last, for me, experience that I needed to fully understand what is self-love and self-care, and to really get to that place where you can be living a life of joy.
Yes.
You cannot leave out the self-care and self-love. Yeah. And I think so that whole transition that happened last year into this year, and this year is almost coming to an end, is I think I got that piece.
Yes.
And really understanding that piece is I have really sort of, slowed down and say, okay, this is good and this could work. The bad thing about what it did in terms of, well, not bad, but like, the quirks of it was, a patient would call and I'd be like, put him in the schedule, yes. Right? And so that's why I was here at 12 o'clock at night.
Yes.
What has happened because of that shift in my mindset about my self-care is now there's a waiting list to see me for 2 months or 3 months.
I can't even get on the schedule. Oh my God.
She has no time because need stop. Exactly. Is that our last appointment is at 6 o'clock or our last appointment is at 7 o'clock? She's got to wrap it up to go home. And so that has shifted in terms of, my mindset have shifted in terms of it's okay, right? Because I could not understand that. I was like, no, but the patient isn't well. She's unwell. Like she needs an appointment today. She needs it tomorrow, put her in. But that was at the expense of my health.
Yeah.
And so the one thing is, I sort of realized that age is catching up. And so I don't have that reserve anymore. And so if I want to keep doing this for a longer period of time, I have to stop. I have to slow it down. And so I have. And so I it's not like, again, I'm completely different from what I was, to say I would sit in this office.
Your hair, she never used to let her hair down. Her hair is down now.
I'm really just kind of
passionate and everything.
I really am. It's not me with a bun, but you're right. Like, okay, fine, go. And so my staff always jokes around, like, I'm like, oh, I just look a mess. And so they'll nicely say, oh no, but you're just busy. You know what? I think I could be busy and just look my best.
Busy and beautiful. You could be BB, busy and beautiful at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And so all of these little things are ways that I have changed. And
I love it.
And I always look at how much you've gotten me to change the way I viewed the whole business and patient care. And so I tell, patients from my experience that if I could change, then so can you. And there's no age limits on change. You just have to decide, I don't want to do this anymore because it's not working for me.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, going back to what is healthy is to know oneself.
Yeah.
Right. And to say, I say mind, body, spirit is to be spiritual is to honor oneself.
Wow. I love that.
That is what
spiritual is to honor oneself.
Correct.
Wow. I never heard it put that way before.
Yes. It is my understanding of where it begins because you're carrying years from the time you were born to where you are today.
Yes.
You're accumulating and carrying that information, right? When you begin to honor yourself, it's to really say, to identify my spirit or identify my soul, which, your spirit has all the information. You just need to align with it.
Yes.
Then you start to say, this works for me. This doesn't work for me. This makes me happy. This does not. What do I want?
Right.
What do I need? And then really, I say spirit because it is through the spirit that you attach to the universe.
Yeah.
And then you start to accept. You start to have patience. You start to, let go of things.
Yes. Find your authentic self.
You find your authentic self. Correct. And that's the beautiful thing about functional medicine. And that was a journey, that is a journey for me as well.
Yeah.
Right. I always say I practice what I preach because my understanding of it is so personal. And if my understanding is personal, then I will be able to explain it to you so much better if I'm, sort of on that journey on my own and really understanding it. And, that brings me to your journal, right? Aww. That I have been a meditator, that, this has been my journey for, I have it here completed and full. There's not a line on mine. Right. but I want to speak to that because, being a meditator that I have been for the past 10 years, and, I go away to these silent retreats, I'm all in, I am committed to that process because that process has allowed me reprogramming my brain. It has allowed the reprogramming. And so then when you last year came out with this journal, and it was like our first version, right? It wasn't completed and done.
Right.
And I looked at it and I said, Char, this is amazing. And I started telling patients about it. I'm like, this is amazing. Do this 30 days, commit to it. And you know how I am. I will never tell anybody to do anything that I don't do. Right. And so so like a week or two into me saying, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, wait. I need to find out how amazing it is. And so I was like, Char, I'm going to do this.
You're telling people and have not even done it. I love it.
Exactly. And that's just not how I function. So after saying it a couple of times, I'm like, wait. Before you start dishing this out, you should have an understanding of what this is. And I said to you, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
Right. And I started it. And you actually didn't know. You didn't know when I started it.
I didn't. You surprised me with that.
Exactly. I was like
7 days or something.
I was in 7 days, right? When I said to you, and you were like, oh, I can tell. Right? Because I am like, you know me, I'm wound pretty tight when it comes to the office, right? And you were like, wow, like you handled that really well. And what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm day 7 in. And I committed to that journal for the 30 days. And I will say, so that was May 1st. Today is October 17th.
Yes, 18th.
18th. I have kept that practice.
Wow.
Every single day. I mean, that journal is full. I've got other journals now that I'm writing.
Other journals. I need follow-up journals. I need 60 days.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I have filled up one after that. And I'm on a third. I did that one. I filled one up and now I'm on a third. Aww. And so really, just committing to, because again, I think what I've realized, despite my deep understanding of meditation and, really trying to achieve and attain that spiritual balance, that mind, body, spiritual balance, what that journal made me realize is this is not a practice of once a week, twice a week. This is a practice truly of committing to your self-evolution and committing to your self-love and your self-care.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like you take a bath once a day and you have a meal once a day because you want to keep the body clean and you want to put nutrition in there. But what are you doing for the mind? Generally nothing. Right? And when I say generally nothing, is that even in moments of good times in your life, moments of joy, which is laughter, friendship, a meal with family or friends, those are all wonderful, positive things that does help to balance your body, because when you're in that state, you're balancing that nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system which the sympathetic is an overdrive and the parasympathetic brings that balance of laughter, happiness, joy, and feeling good. But that's all reactive.
Yes.
You are reacting to the stress as you're reacting to the state of, happiness or goodness with the people that you share something with. But that is not intentional.
Right.
It is the body's vasovagal response to a balance.
Yes.
Right? It's my sympathetic nervous system and my parasympathetic nervous system doing it for me without my intention.
Yes.
Right? But when you go beyond that and you say, I'm going to be intentional with my mind.
Yes.
I am going to quiet that space. I'm going to be intentional with my thoughts. I'm going to be intentional with my desire. I'm going to be intentional with my responses. That's when you begin to reprogram the mind.
Yes.
Right? Otherwise, you're not. You're just continuing to react all day long.
Yes.
Right? Which I always say, the body is so dynamic, right? It's so magnificent. If we just work with it.
Yeah.
Right? Giving it the right information, giving it the right balance, then we can live a joyful life.
We can. And I, with that being said, have been living a joyful life since you have entered it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I do want to thank you for all the knowledge you have given me throughout the years. And this is just an introduction, everyone, to Dr. Anita, because I'm going to make sure I have her back, because there's so much to talk about when it comes to your health. And I'm still very much so a big advocate for healthy mindset, healthy lifestyle, healthy life. I want you guys, the reason for Dare Life Warriors is to really, number one, create your reality. Once you create your reality, how you travel that journey is going to make a world of difference. So I want to bring people like Dr. Anita to you so she could share, her own experiences, but not just that, also give you some really good advice and really good knowledge on how to get to this place where we both are right now. And by the way, her and I have been through many storms together. And the fact that we're sitting here talking to each other is all part of life experiences that has led us to just this beautiful friendship as well. And our relationship kind of goes, either I'm calling to say, no, you listen, or she's calling to say, no, you listen. it's like,
no, but that's a blessing.
It is a blessing. And it's like one day, I'm the coach, one day she's the coach. And that's what you need in life. You need many coaches, and they come in many forms. And it's not necessarily people that are certified to do that. Coaches,
correct.
You know what I mean?
It's life experience. It's, people bringing life to it and really understanding that, we are just all spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yes.
And we're all connected, and everybody that crosses your path, comes in your way, says something to you. If you are really tuned in to that, to your own spirituality, you will connect to that. You will connect to the signals. You will connect to the messages. You really will connect to that divine source of information that is coming to you all the time. So, and that, that is not something you will read in a book. That is not something that someone can say to you. That is simply a willingness that you have to find and connect with your own spirituality.
Yes. And with that being said, how can they, I'm giving her a test now. Let's see if she passed. How can they find you, Dr. Anita? What is the best way to reach you?
Oh God! My office.
All that being said, let's see if she really learned anything from me. She's like, I don't know what to say. Your website, Dr. Anita, your website.
My website is whpwellness.com. Yes. And I think all the information is there. Thanks to you. And so I just want to add that there was no website until Shar came along.
Why I was testing. That's exactly why I was testing you. I was like, let me.
Shar came along. I just know, look, you know me. I'm not even going to say anything else.
You may find her. Please go to it. Not just, she does virtual consultation as well. But whpwellness.com. Go to her website, figure out what is it she could help you with, because there is something she can help you with. Trust me on that. So take your health, take control of your health, and just even make a step to just talk to her, get a consultation, and just see what is it that you might be able to work on to live that quality of life that you would love to live that joyous life that you would love to live. You will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed. So
no, I'm going to say this is not a sales pitch. I'm going to say that each and every person who happened to listen to this, if they're moved to do so, do so. And if you are not ready, don't the time will come. Don't feel that you need to urgently do something that you are not feeling. If you feel it, you will do it. And if you are not, it's okay.
And that's why we love her, because it took me She always says that, no, it's okay. I'm here to tell you the time is now. Get your act together because I love you. And I want you to get your act together. And I'm definitely, Dr. Anita, thank you so much for being here today. I can't wait. I'm going to figure out the next topic. I want to be very specific. I need to have you back. And I want to be very specific with the audience. And I want to just answer a question, whatever question that is. So I'll figure that out. I'll get with you in your busy calendar.
That was all thanks to you. That was all thanks to you. You
might have to
go ahead. It was all you.
I know. The next show, by the way, will be broadcast live from the GYN office, where I'll be getting a checkup. And that's the only way to get.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Could you imagine? Yeah. That was a joke. We're not going to be doing that. That's a joke. So. Anyway, thank you so much, my life warriors. I hope you really, really enjoyed hearing from Dr. Anita, and I hope that you stay tuned in and do know that there is a coach out here that loves you.